Hello and welcome. So today we're going to look at this, and this is the Tangram Ultralight by One Tigris, and it's a double backpacking tent, and it's a lightweight job, so it has no poles of its own. It requires 2 trekking poles, which are obviously sold separately. I've just pitched this, and this is my first real look at it, and I've got to say, I'm actually in love. I have a Lanshan 2, which I quite like, but it seems a little bit flimsy, like it wouldn't handle the wind. I've just spent a bit of time getting this right. I'm really impressed. I think it's so stable. It was reasonably easy to pitch. I'll take you through how to pitch it in a minute, but let's just have a look at it as it is pitched. So there's 2 trekking poles inside holding it up. We'll go in there in a minute. But what this tent gives you is support. And there are 6 guy lines that come out that hold it rigidly in place, and this is, I'm really pleased with how this has gone up. It feels so solid. So I'll give you a few facts as we look round. Now this can be pitched at 120 to 130 centimetres high, depending on how tall you want it. You can adjust your trekking poles accordingly. It's an outer pitch first, so it comes separate. You pitch this outer bit and then you clip in the inner afterwards. So that's always good for pitching in bad weather. And material wise, this is a 75D ripstop nylon with a waterproof rating of 1,500 millimeters. We got YKK zippers. We've got the storm flap. And you've obviously got a vestibule both sides. You've got doors both sides, and these ones open all the way. You can open it there, and you can open it across there. So you can open this right up. In fact, let's do that, and we can have a good look inside. So you can take these doors right back to there, and you can do this on both sides, so you can have complete airflow going through. Trekking pole is in the middle, but that is the nature of a trekking pole tent. But just look at the room in here. How high is this? I've got my pole set to, I think, 120, so that's sort of the lowest setting, and loads of room. I can jump up and down, and the height of these vestibule areas, it's a hand size, and that's quite tight. So I think I've got confidence in these that you better keep your gear under here nice and dry. And the inner is attached by these clips here, and it just unhooks nice and simple. And then you've got a tightening piece here, so you can slacken this off when you put it away and just tighten it up when you pitch it. And the 4 corners have got the same tightening system. When you unpeg this, you unpeg it, loosen that right off, and then when you peg it out, you can then yank on that and really get it nice and taut. The vestibule both sides, is big enough to get a whole backpack in. You get a backpack there, you get your cook kit there. This is 220 centimetres in length, so I've got my feet, hang on, I've got my feet down the end and my hands stretched out, so that's a lot of room, and it's 120 centimetres across. This is billed as a 2-person tent, and could you get 2 people in here? Yes, I think you could. I think it would be tight, but you've got a vestibule each, you've got a door each. So, in my opinion, this is a very spacious 1-man tent, or it's a 2-person tent for a couple or 2 people that are very close. But I will be using it primarily as a 1-man tent for myself, and I'm very impressed. I really am. It just feels solid. It feels really solid. The base of this, again, I think this is a 75D nylon, but it feels pretty robust. You know, it doesn't feel flimsy. You got the bug mesh part in here. You know, the mesh is quite nice. It's black. You got some hooks up in the corner, just up here, where I think you could run a gear line across and have hanging space up above you. And they've reinforced the corners in here. I think it's just well made. So let's get on to the pack size and then the pitching. So packed away, that is how it comes. Now, that's not the smallest thing in the world, and it's by no means the lightest tent in the world. This is 1.8 kilos, which for a lightweight tent is quite heavy, and it's packed roughly 45 centimeters by 15 centimeters, say. But I think it's a trade-off, you know, to carry a slightly heavier tent, but to have the security of the fact that it's going to stand up to a little bit of punishment. It's worth the carry. And as far as carrying this goes, I mean, in this packaging, you've got the outer and you've got the inner, and the pegs, obviously. But I would be inclined to take the inner out of this bag and put it in a separate dry bag, so that if you're in bad weather, when you take your tent down, you take the inner out first and pack that away. So you can do that inside your tent. You could stick it in a dry bag, wrap it up, tuck it in your bag, and then that's always going to stay dry before you even have to take the outer down. So I think that would be my method of carrying it, and I think that would work pretty well. So to pitch, what you need obviously is the tent, and you need your 2 trekking poles. Trekking poles you have to buy yourself, they don't come with it. So that is the outer, which is not huge, is it? And that is the inner section. And as I say, my thought would be to separate them. Keep the inner in something like that, in your bag, nice and dry, protected. Then you won't have a wet tent, no matter the weather. So, let's pitch. So we peg the 4 corners roughly. Don't do it too tight, because it makes it harder to get the poles in. Take our first trekking pole and we'll set it to 120 and see how that goes. Right, flap him over. And if you look in here, you've got a reinforced area where the tip of your trekking pole sits. This is really reinforced here, so it's going to be nice and safe for your pole. Just stand your pole up, find your guy line for this side, peg him out, get him straight, peg him out. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. And we'll do the same the other side. And now I'm going to go round, re-peg the 4 corners. So that's coming together. It's reasonably tight, but now there's an extra 2 support guy lines, which is what I really like about this tent, because we're not just relying on one peg, which, you know, pegs come out, it's a fact of life if you're camping. You know, you've got moist ground, wet ground, muddy ground, you know, any of these things, you know, a bit of rain in the night and a peg can come out. But when you've got 3 anchoring each side, I think you've got 3 chances of it staying up. Just tighten all these guy lines. Nice and simple. Just pull on them. They lock into place here, they've got a grip in there, so it's not coming undone. And then we go round and pull on these tabs here, and we just tension it out like that. Again, they lock in place, they're very simple to use. That's the main kind of shelter part done. We haven't done the doors, and we haven't done the inner. So there's 2 ways of doing it now. You know, you can peg these out and put the inner, but I'm going to roll them up so we can see what we're doing. And depending on the weather, you know, that would be the thing to do. If it's raining, peg it all out and get under there with your bag, peg the inner in from inside. But it's not raining, it's nice weather, so we're going to do it this way. Now on this side, you know, we'll do the opposite. So we'll peg out this vestibule area. So check holes are straight, and you can check the height as well. If you don't like the height, you know, we're going to add a couple of centimetres. It's really up to you. And this could be it. If bugs aren't an issue, you just slap a little cheap tarp down as a ground sheet, and this is a shelter. You know, this is nice. But if you want a bit of luxury, then we'll do the inner. So the inner attaches. You know, it's quite straightforward. So we slacken this off a bit. You've got a simple hook and a place for the hook to go. And then, somewhere, where's it? There we are. Simple tab, goes up in this bit. And then little O-rings. Same on this side. And the O-ring. And we've got this hook which just clips up on that ring to the back. Finish with the last one up in the top. There's a little tab on here again to tighten it. Just give it a bit of a tighten. Go stretchy bungee thing down the handle of your pole just to keep it there. Maybe a bit lower. There we are. And we just pull on the tightener for this inner bit. Let's get it nice and taut. And we can open it up. And we're ready for camping. And that must have taken me 10 minutes, 12 minutes maybe. I didn't set a timer, but it wasn't very long. So final thoughts then on this Tangram ultralight. I can't really think of anything bad to say about it other than the weight and the pack size, but I caveat that with the stability you get from it, I believe, is worth carrying the extra weight. I really do. It's simple to pitch. It pitches well, you know what I mean? You get some tents and you pitch them and they're a little bit flappy and you're a bit not sure. This one, I've pitched it once before where I was fiddling about trying to figure it out, and I've pitched it here today and it's gone up super quick, super easy. And as far as the size goes, as I said earlier, I would be inclined to break it into two parts. Keep the main body of the tent and the pegs in its original stuff sack with the compression straps on, and it's going to be about this big. And then I would separate the inner, keep that in a dry bag, and so getting it in your bag is no problem. Some tents, you know, they're big and bulky and you've got to figure out where it goes. If you break it into two pieces, you know, you can stick it in the outer pockets of your bag. You know, you can stick the main body of it in the lid of your backpack. It's really packable. So overall, I'm happy. I'm really happy. Now this tent costs, wait for it, £115 in the UK at the moment, and at the moment is where are we? Just at the start of October 2020. £115, which is not a lot for such a good tent. The materials are good, the workmanship is good, the zips are good, the waterproof rating is good. It's just good. It's a good tent. I like it. So if you're in the market for a tent, a trekking pole tent especially, I'd give this one some serious consideration, because you know there are other trekking pole tents out there that are more expensive that I don't think are as good as this. I really don't. So it's worth thinking about. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the content, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon. Thanks again.